So today is back to school in Russia, and kids are dressing up like this. And this is happening more frequently every single year because of a new strategy in Russia, and that is mass indoctrination. And this is happening because Russia is about to enter a new stage, a stage of mass psychosis, and it begins in the schoolyard. And if you look at the new curriculum and the new leaflets that have just been handed to teachers all around Russia, they show a character, a cuddly bear, a bear that represents the motherland. And this leaflet is filled with images of Russia looking massive on the world stage, of referring to Russia as the mother bear. And obviously this is classic Soviet propaganda, but this is happening right now because Putin is preparing for a new wave of soldiers that are ready to kill no matter what. And life in Russia is getting bleak. If you look at even the Russian national press, it's been reported that by the start of the school year, right now in September, they're blocking exports of oil. Their economy is tanking.
Coming up in today's Russian papers, warnings of a recession and the budget deficit grows. First, ahead of the new school year, Komsomolskaya Pravda reports that Russian schools have been sent a list of patriotic songs for children to learn. The document, published on the website of the Education Ministry, explains that the list of 37 songs is for guidance. The list includes titles such as Victory Melody, To Serve Russia, 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 My Russia, Motherland, My Country. Once again, economic concerns feature prominently in the Russian press. The headline in Moskovsky Komsomolets today, the state budget will have to be amended again. Slowing economic growth has increased the deficit.
And the only way you can still get a population to put up with this level of disgruntlement, of this level of chaos, is to create psychosis. And the only way that a society can function is if it is completely deluded. And Russia have started doing that with their kids right from the beginning. But what's important this time is that these leaflets have been specifically focused in their distribution in occupied territories, places like Crimea, places in the Donbass.
Обязательно будем заниматься применительно к этим детям. Обязательно. Той работы по денацификации, которая, она частично уже проводится, естественно, на тех территориях.
And that is because Russia are facing a massive mobilization problem.
In poorer regions, men are abducted from homes and shelters, often without warning. Some are misled with fake job offers, others coerced despite serious health issues. Families report missing loved ones and suspect their military pay is being stolen. A black market has exploded around the draft. Fake exemption documents can cost up to $87,000, while legal aid firms charge thousands for help that often leads nowhere.
And they've lost hundreds of thousands to people fleeing Russia. So they need a new wave every single year of 18-year-olds who are willing to fight for Russia. And what's particularly sick about this, imagine it for a second, is you're a Ukrainian kid. You're abducted and you're brainwashed. And as soon as you turn 18, you're given a gun to go and fight the very family that you were abducted from. Your brothers, your sisters on the front line. And this was an image from a Russian school literally hours ago. And if you just look for a second at the type of ceremonies that are being carried out, this was Teachers' Day. And it looks absolutely bizarre from the outside, but this is how Russia are shifting their country, their population and their economy. They're becoming a full wartime economy. But the reason I'm talking about this today is because this week Ukrainian kids went back to school for the first time, and I didn't know how magical it actually was. I was looking at videos of teachers being flooded with flowers and presents. Apparently this is just a thing that happens here every single year. I don't know how those teachers have the space for all of these flowers, but I'm sure they find somewhere for them. But they spent the first 6 hours of today under an air raid siren. I was watching drones getting shot out of the sky. Ukrainian kids had to spend today in bunkers underground. And that is because Russia isn't just at war in the trenches here. They're at war in the classrooms with their propaganda to brainwash Ukrainian children and to make sure Ukrainian children can't even see sunlight. And Russia has come out and tried to justify this behavior, justify the abduction of Ukrainian children by saying that they're going to holiday camps or saying that they're being rescued from places like Mariupol so they won't get bombed. And once those kids get abducted, almost no one knows what happens to them. But every now and then, someone escapes. And earlier this year, that is what happened. In the Washington Post, you'll read an incredible piece of a 66-year-old grandmother who had her grandson abducted back in 2022 in Mariupol, and she never thought that she would see him again. Until one day she watched a Russian propaganda video where she could see him in the background holding a gun, looking militarized. And so she took this gigantic risk and traveled across 4 different regions in Russia through hundreds of checkpoints and found him and brought him home against all odds. And he told her what he went through. He told her about the indoctrination. And this just shows exactly what happens to Ukrainian kids. He was given a Russian name and every day told that his identity was fake. And that's not the only story. In Kherson, a 16-year-old teenager was abducted and taken to Crimea to a re-education camp. And every single day, that's what Ukrainian kids are forced to sing, the Russian national anthem. I've seen pictures of the hallways through their schools covered in pictures of soldiers that have killed their families, soldiers on the Russian side portrayed as heroes. And this is how brainwashing works. But this is also how the Soviet Union has always worked. And I've always said the Soviet Union never collapsed, it just changed. And the mentality has always been conquer and use those countries you conquer to further your conquest. And that's why mobilizations have been happening here with Ukrainian kids. That's what Russia wants to do if they ever took the Baltic. And that's why it's so important to remember that if the Russians aren't stopped here in Ukraine, they're going to forcibly mobilize millions of Ukrainians to march west into the rest of Europe. And this is what Putin has said himself. So today is a really significant day because it's the start of school for millions of Ukrainian kids who have to spend it in bunkers and millions of Ukrainian kids who have to spend it under occupation being brainwashed. Right now, I'm editing a documentary that I filmed in Estonia about the new front line, and I've just come back from the Donbass last week doing a similar film. So if you want to see that, I'll be publishing it in the next few days, but I just thought I would do this daily report. It was shocking to wake up at 9 o'clock this morning and watch drones shot out of the sky while kids were hiding in basements. But if you like the information in this video, please hit subscribe, maybe consider supporting my Patreon. That's the only way I pay for my trips and my videos, and I'll see you next time.